Hello and welcome to another episode of Literary Gladiators, the show where we discuss and debate literature in all of its forms. If it's written work, it's game. Let's meet the panel.
Hi, I'm Krystal.
I'm Dan.
I'm Cyndi.
And I'm Josh. And as you know, we film many of our discussions within sessions, and it is evident that Krystal has crystallized our session.
I'm a scientific way of going. This is exciting.
Okay. And the work that we're going to be going over is a scientific way of going as well. We are going to be discussing The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy by Douglas Adams. This was what we discussed in our Season 5 premiere. We filmed and released it back in 2016. We filmed it at Ari's house. I'm the only one to take part in that discussion. That's still here, because Ari, Charlie, and Gina are not here at this time. Ari and Charlie will probably be back in a few weeks for some more discussions. But you have a discussion started, Dan?
Yeah, okay, so I had to write this down because it is a mouthful. Alright, so The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy is a comedy science fiction novel and series. But it has some important themes to explore, such as meaninglessness and happiness, power and control, improbability and possibility and absurdity, knowledge and exploration, language and communication. Do you think the comedy hurts or helps with exploring these themes?
I think, number one, I think that was a great discussion starter.
Yeah.
Number two, I think that it helps, because I think that people respond very well to humor. The only caveat with humor is that it's a very... if something isn't funny, it can really stray the work the wrong way.
Yeah,
but I don't think it's the case with this book, because the characters were very memorable, maybe not the most multidimensional, but they had meaning, and they were used purposefully.
Yeah.
I think that it's just amazing the way that they bared a sense of absurdity, but also delivering the message that we ourselves, humans on the planet Earth, are creatures of absurdity.
Yeah.
And it's just, and I mean, revisiting this, I really got even more out of it because I was comparing my notes, and I think that my original notes probably would still be relatively useful, but I think that just just the whole idea of Zaphoid Beetlebrox, the president of the
yes, of like space or whatnot.
Yeah, it's very meaningful that he has 2 heads and 3 arms, because he's meant to be, and he's the quintessential figurehead. That's and the fact that a president, in this world, the president is, and I quote, the fact that the president in particular is very much he wields no real power whatsoever. His goal is to be a distraction, to turn people away from the actual power that's ruling them and making the decisions. Not much different from our world.
Yeah, true. Yeah.
Because you often see, because people are constantly being distracted by whatever it is that is. People were fighting over whether or not they said Yanni or Laurel, for Pete's sakes.
Was it a blue and black dress or was it a white and gold dress?
Yes. You have that methodology, and then if you have a president or a public servant, actually it's better yet, public servant, that is distracting and is using their charm and ability to make us look on one end when in actuality they're doing things on the other, then that's exactly what they need, and Beetlebrox was perfect for that. And the fact that he's 2 heads, oftentimes we view public servants as being two-headed, or two-faced, more so.
Yeah, that's why I think like the comedy is like you can do that because the thing is a bunch of aliens, but also like things like I feel like it explores some of the themes because some of the stuff that they go through is just like in most sci-fi you'd be like, oh, there's a purpose for this. Here, no, there's really no meaning to that. Like Earth was destroyed just because the thing is the aliens wanted to destroy it. Like there was no purpose for them to actually destroy the planet.
But what purpose does Earth have? According to this book,
I'll just say, well.
according to this book, the purpose of Earth is just basically a program that was supposed to be the advanced version of deep thought.
Yeah.
In order to figure out the ultimate question, or the question to the ultimate answer of the meaning of life.
42.
But they got to come up with. They weren't satisfied with that, though, so they needed a question to pose in order to elaborate and make their answer make more sense. When in actuality, the question at hand doesn't make sense either. It's just a bunch of zeros and ones.
I don't like how I had a depressed robot in the series. I thought that was funny. He's just a robot. His personality is, I'm depressed.
But he's a social commentary too.
Oh yeah, but I love him. He's amazing. It's just so funny to think that an artificial intelligence was programmed by a person who was depressed, and the thing is now the robot's just depressed.
Who would you who would you say was the most fascinating character in this piece? I asked this question back in season 5. I'll ask it again today.
Oh, I just said the robot.
So it is Marvin for you?
Yeah. I can't remember his name.
Marvin, yes.
Yeah.
And in one of the adaptations, he was voiced by Alan Rickman.
Yes.
Perfect.
Also, kind of a reason why I like the robot again because
Probably.
Alan Rickman.
Already. Cyndi?
Let me see. Which character? I would have to say Ford. I
Okay.
like and just it was to me he was right, he is my favorite.
Okay.
That'll do.
He was like the glue that like
Yes.
kept everything together. Like everything that would go wrong, like Ford's like, let me fix it. Like he was just like, just from the beginning, he was just like, guys, it's fine. I got the book. But
I think he was
Ford
kind of like he was kind of like the straight man, you know, in most comedies. Like the thing is like the one who's supposed to be like the normal one, and you have all these other weirdos.
And then you just have all these freaking weirdos. Yeah.
I mean, granted, he was the one that ultimately pulled Arthur away from his house, and when the bulldozer, the Prosser, I think this is his name.
Prosser?
Prosser. It's yes, Prosser. When Prosser was bringing in the bulldozers to destroy his house in order to create a freeway, the Vogons, on a bigger scale, are building a freeway that in turn is going to go through the Earth. So Ford pretty much said, I'm taking it away from this, but it's not going to matter after we go drinking. And just fills him up with alcohol, because I think he's figured out that humans respond interestingly to alcohol. It'll at least contain them for a little bit.
Yeah.
And then and that's when everything, and then something worse, and then the fact that the Vogons build through the freeway is pretty much, it doesn't matter that his house is, forget the house at that point.
Yeah.
I think that the Beetlebrook, I think that he was probably my favorite character, because I think that you go into it and you're just like, man, this guy is as dumb as a pile of rocks. Like, he is just going by the seat of his pants. He is very, very special. And then by the end of it, when he realizes that he was the one that actually, like, messed with his head and, like, kind of, like, put him on, like, the path that he was on, he was probably a bloody genius. And then dumbed himself down in order to do what he needed to do. And I just thought that was, like, such beautiful character development by undeveloping.
Yes.
So great. It was so great.
I think that's what a lot of your public servant figureheads do, was that they make themselves into, they make themselves look like bumbling idiots, but yet behind the scenes, they're making sure that, or that they have an idea as to what they're doing. It's an act. People in actors and actresses do this as well. But I would say, I mean, when I originally answered the question, I thought that the two mice, Frankie and Benji, were the most fascinating. Because it's interesting that the mice and the dolphins are the two species that are smarter than humans because of their ability to observe humanity and dangerous situations. With the dolphins, it mainly had to do with them knowing what was going to happen. Whereas the mice, through the experiments, pretty much are able to detect what humans most desire and what they want to learn, and in turn, because of them taking part in their games, or what you want to call, and their experiments, it's a reflection of human nature. And the fact that they wanted to go after Arthur's brain because it would help them figure out continue their research on humanity, and that putting in a mechanical.
Didn't they think that like within his psyche laid the question? And
Yes.
that's why they wanted to dissect him, because they were just like, well, we were so close. Like, Earth was at like 99% loading, and then they blew it up.
Mm-hmm.
And so they were thinking that since he was the last human, the only place that you could find that question has got to be in this guy's noggin.
Yeah.
And because they realized that it wasn't going to work out, and so they.
Which is kind of interesting when you think
rejected
about it, because Trillium's been there like the entire time, and like, do they just like not see her humanity? Like, hello, whole ass human, right there.
But then they drugged her. With the others, they drugged her too. So
Yeah.
for some reason,
I think because like I feel like the mice just had like a sentimental like feeling towards her, because like they were like her pets and stuff. So I just kind of feel like they were like, no, that's our human. She's good. No, she's with
that's
us.
true.
Yeah, no.
That one, though?
Take the guy. We don't care about
Yeah.
him.
They don't have much. They don't have an attachment to him because he's new blood.
Right.
Right.
Whereas they're like, nah, she gave us fresh water quite often. She can live.
Yeah, I think it's like a whole loyalty thing. Like,
But
now,
they
like,
also feel that the identical brain, even if it's mechanical, it's just matter to them. It doesn't really make much of a difference.
Yeah.
The difference between flesh and metal or whatever substance it's from. But I think that reading it, I think that reading this again, I think that Zaphoida Beetlebrox was probably the most fascinating, just the way that his character was created and what he stands for.
Probably the smartest guy in it, but he somehow bumbled them all through all of the fuckery that they went through. It was so interesting.
And I think that the philosophical video that they watched with deep thought, and they're getting to the fact that the meaning of life is 42, because that was a video from the past, and it goes to show you how they are so far in advance, whereas we as humanity we're incredibly, and they make fun of how primitive we are right at the beginning of the book, where.
When it's so funny, because if you think about it, like, we feel like, you know, like the alphas on Earth, but everywhere else we're just like peons.
Yeah.
Right.
And I think everybody within this piece thinks of themselves like that.
Me too. I am totally an alpha.
I would say I am.
Yeah, I'm here.
I'm a. What's that for an alpha? Beta? I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know if you're follow schools because didn't they change them at some point? I'm an Omega. I'm the one in the back.
Oh my-
I don't even know. I'm just happy to be involved. I thought that Arthur was really cool too, because like taking like apart, like, you know, taking away just like the, you know, the sci-fi aspect, because I'm not a big sci-fi person, and like, you know, when you were talking about the comedy of it, like the comedy is what saved me and got me into it, because other than that, like, I would probably just be like, you know, I'm not a big, like, you know, space girl and like stuff like that.
Yeah.
But I felt like Arthur was great in the sense to where he went from this high-strung, super just like just could not handle anything emotionally. He was just a ticking time bomb, So, like, by the end of it, like, it was almost like going into probably what would be probably one of the most stressful situations, you know, like your home being exploded, your planet, and then being, like, thrust into, you know, space with these psychos. Like, and he slowly just shed that and just became more of a relaxed, like, go with the flow kind of guy. And it's just, like, great, like, 'cause we all could learn from that. I'm such a high-strung person. I'm extremely anxious, like, all that. And, like, just the idea of maybe that's what I need to do. Maybe I need to go into space. Give myself a tower.
He didn't have much of a choice, though.
Right.
Yeah.
Maybe that's what I need.
Doing to him.
I need aliens to kidnap me, blow up my planet, and give me a towel and give me, like, a reason to chill.
Like the Vogons, and you either... Their poetry is so horrific that you have to tell them their poem is good, or they're going to eject you. But they eject them anyway.
Yeah.
Find a reason to do so.
Yeah. That's the reason why this book actually made me laugh at a few points. Like, I actually had to put the book down at some point because I was laughing so hard that I couldn't continue reading.
The best thing I did was I did the audiobook, and the audiobook is so great. Like, it just, like, it really, like, it gives you that extra layer of the comedy, and it's just so great. And then, like, I was telling Josh, like, I started, like, listening to, you know, about the author himself, and how funny and awkward and strange he was. And it just, like, you can tell it bleeds into his work. And it's just so great.
This is a major reflection of his.
For sure.
And he was, he was very atheist, which he makes mention to it in there about the question of faith and logic and faith.
I read this, like, quote about him to where they said that he loved being a writer but hated writing.
Yeah.
And I thought it was so interesting because I'm like, to me, I'm just like, and you know, obviously I'm no scholar, but I thought this was extremely well written. I think that this is a completely just, it definitely deserves to be a cult classic because it is such a great book. And I'm just like, my lord, if this man loved writing, we would just be devastated by how good this book would be. Right. Because, like, at the end, like, it basically just goes, they're like, yo, you hungry? I know this really good restaurant, and it just stops. Like, he probably just got so tired, like, the publishers got tired of waiting, like, everyone was just like, listen, you're done. Could you imagine if he actually, like, finished it for us, like, and actually, like, gave us, like, 100%?
You know, it was
I think I
actually...
could handle it.
You mentioned that it was an audio... It was originally a radio show before it became a book.
Yeah, it was like a BBC TV, like a TV series.
Was that the audio you were listening to, or was it, like, a different
No,
audio?
no, it was an actual, like, audio book.
Okay, so, because there was the original radio show, then there was the books, then there was the books on tape.
And I think what's great is that, so... Before that series came to be, like, when he was kind of waiting for, like, all those ducks to just kind of get in a row, he worked on Doctor Who. And when I thought it back on it, I'm like, oh my god, like, and whether or not he is the one that kind of influenced, like, because I love, like, the dry humor of, like, of Doctor Who. And, like, but then, like, and then going to him, I wonder if it was Doctor Who that, like, you know, kind of made an impression on him or vice versa. But it's just, like, so great, like, by understanding more about him, it helped me kind of understand the book more.
You're talking about, like, did he work on, like, the OG series, like, the one where, like, some of the episodes are lost to history, or is it, like, the newer series?
Well, this was the 70s.
Okay, so, like, the OG series that was, like...
Right.
This book came out in 1979.
The book was written after the series, so it actually was, like, a visual, like, you know, it was, like, I think it was a radio, or was it a TV show?
It was a radio show.
And then they were, like, and then they got so crazy big that they were like, dude, you have to write this book. So then he sat down to actually write the book. So it's crazy, like, because it usually doesn't work that way.
And there were several sequels, too. Restaurant at the End of the Universe was the first sequel.
Yeah.
And he wrote a few others, and then the Salmon of Doubt was the collected writings after his death in 2001.
Also, Restaurant at the End of the Galaxy, it does not mean the thing is the end of the galaxy, it means the end of the galaxy, like the apocalypse.
Right.
Yeah.
Fun!
You get that. The thing is, the diner allows you to have one last meal as you watch the entire universe just destroy itself.
Which is very interesting, because when you think about it, at the end, Beetlebrock was just like, oh, I know this really great restaurant, like, it's so good, let's go. Which makes you almost think, like, well, he's dined there before? So then, like, I haven't read it, so I mean,
well, that's
but
why
then I'm just, like, thinking, like, in my head, like,
words.
So, how does this man keep surviving everything?
I don't know. I have to read the other books because
I
I
know,
enjoyed this
I
one very
know.
much.
It was interesting. Some of his humor, when you brought up the writer, he loves being a writer, but he hates writing. It reminds me of the one when they're brought down by the cops, where I think Ford, he does do a good job trying to get reason out of the authority that just tries to constantly bog them down, and some of the reasons are just so frivolous as to why they constantly push people around and just want to just assert their authority on them. And the one cop said, "And I write novels," chimed in the other cop. "Though I haven't had any of them published yet, so I better warn you, I'm in a mean mood." That was toward the end, and it stuck out.
Yeah.
But it just, as you had said, it just ends because that's the way of their world. It's just going to be them continuing to do what they're doing, and we see what happens as the series progresses. I haven't read beyond this book, though.
I haven't, but I feel like it'll definitely be like on my TBR just because I enjoyed going, because this was another thing where I read it and then I had to kind of re-go over it, and I listened to the audio and I just every time I'm like, why did I stop reading this? It's so good.
Well, after I read it, the thing is, I began to look up some things about it. And I found out there was sequels. I was like, oh, and I watched another entire BookTube series thing that covered the entire series, and I was just like, okay. The thing is, I was like, this series sounds really interesting. Maybe I will read the other books after reading this one.
It's just so good. That dry humor. You can't fake that. It's just so.
Oh
good.
yeah, the thing is that it has a lot of themes in it. The thing is, they're conveyed well through the comedy, and the comedy is somewhat very clever in the way of the words of usage that they use in it. Because it'll make you laugh, but the thing is, it also makes you think about, hold on, could it be interpreted this way as well, or interpreted that way? Yeah.
That's what brilliant absurdism does. That's why Alice's Adventures in Wonderland and Through the Looking Glass are some of my favorite books.
I cannot say I've read those. I've watched the movies of them, though.
Yeah, I know the Disney adaptations are the ones that garnered the greatest acclaim. But
I'm talking about the TV one, the one where she's behind the looking glass, and the thing is, right behind her, there's a T-Rex.
Oh my.
I don't know. It was a TV movie. It was very weird. It felt like an acid trip.
There's been a lot of remakes to the original storyline, but the original storyline in itself was brilliant. And I think that as far as, this takes the idea of a common person and, doesn't force him down a rabbit, or he doesn't fall down a rabbit hole. He's forced into space. Excuse me. He's sent out some other holes from the spaceship and into who knows where, but on other planets and whatnot.
What I like about it is that the thing is that Arthur is not a chosen one. He's not a hero that they picked out of the way. He's just some guy that they felt like saving, and the thing is, then he's thrust into space, and now he has to deal with all this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
He's like the Ron Weasley, and I just love that for him.
Yes.
Yeah.
Ron Weasley was just such a normal dude, and he's just thrust into these situations where he's got to be the best sidekick, and he's like, you know what? I'm gonna do it.
He was originally he was still a wizard, though.
He was a wizard. Good for him.
Yeah. All right. So I also had a discussion ender. If it's okay if I bring that up.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. So I had this one written out. This is something that we actually did mention. All right. So the computer mentions the thing is what the meaning of life is, and the thing is, it gives us the answer of 42. Now, many scholars have tried to prove what does the 42 mean. My favorite theory is this. In the ASC2 language, which is computer language, 42 is an asterisk or a wild card, basically meaning anything you want it to be. So, in your opinion, what is your 42?
I love that.
What is my 42? It all depends on what I would want it to be, or what I would...
The answer to life is whatever you want it to be. So what is your 42? What do you think the meaning of life is?
For me, the way that I live is being able to use what you feel are your God-given talents or abilities. Doesn't have to be a talent; it could be an ability to make the world better than you left it? Cyndi?
That's actually a tough question to answer.
I did not come here thinking I was going to have to use my
No,
brain
now
cells.
first we're in existentialism, now we're in philosophy. Okay.
And it's like I don't want to be
So,
too
my
old.
42. Yes?
Yes.
My 42.
Yeah.
Okay, because I've lived most of that. So, I would agree with Josh. It's that definitely taking your life as you're meant to live it, and but I think, well, for me, it's finishing my book. that's definitely my 42. Finishing that bucket list is.
Yeah, my 42 would be happiness. Do what makes you happy. Thing is, don't care what anyone else thinks. If it makes you happy, do it.
Man, Ted Bundy would love you.
Okay, well, don't interpret it. I want to wait. Ted Bundy.
He was happy,
Yeah, but he murdered people.
but he was happy.
Okay, don't. Okay.
So my 42.
Out of everything of murdering people, the thing is, happiness is what I feel is my 42 of like what life is.
I'm just trying to be a wild card. Dang.
Yeah, you're a 42.
Yeah, I am 42. Me. So I feel like it is so, like, bold and like so kind to want to make the world a better place. Absolutely. I am a very selfish creature, and I have a group, a core group of humans around me and animals that they are my world. And I only concern myself with bettering their circumstances, their lives, their days. So my 42 is making my people, my creatures, better and happy. I don't really give a shit about the rest of them.
Alrighty then. Do we have any, on that note,
And with that.
do we have any final thoughts?
I really thought that this was a great book for, obviously it's a sci-fi like cult classic, but for me, like I said, I am not a sci-fi person at all, and this would probably go in like my top like 10, 20 books, for sure. And I think that he has such an amazing way of writing, and the way he presents his characters, and there's so many like stories within a story that I think that this book is exceptional. That it can get it goes out of that sci-fi realm, and this could get anybody.
Yeah.
This story could absolutely hook anyone.
Yeah. I think it's a great read. It's definitely, like, I'm a big fan of sci-fi, but the thing is, this one takes like all the tropes that we know of sci-fi and kind of turns them on the head. And the thing is, it uses its comedy very well. It's not overly comedic. It's not too, like the comedy's not, though. It's like the right amount of comedy, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
Right, like where I think you were saying like that sometimes comedy can make the overall like message, like it can kind of distort it. Where I think that he knew where to stop to keep his story going.
Yeah, and then there's sometimes where it's like it has a comedy, but the comedy is very like hit or miss, and the thing is, or it's just used very little, and the thing is, but this one uses it the right amount.
Some of it is just comedy is more of a supporting faction rather than a dual genre within the piece. It's just, this is a science fiction piece that uses comedy. Not necessarily it's a comedic science fiction.
Yeah. I mean, it's written down as comedy science fiction.
It's written, that's the way that he branded it as far as genre is concerned?
Yeah.
If that's the case, then you take his word.
He is laughing at us right now, like just being like, guys, I wrote that really
Is he
high.
dead?
I think he's dead, right? He's
Yes,
like,
he
you guys
is.
are thinking way too deep.
My introduction to the Hitchhiker's Guide was in the form of the game, was a computer game that we used to play. Yeah, we used to play.
Mine was the movie. I saw the movie before anything, and I loved the movie. And so then I eventually read the book because I was like, listen, if I actually like the movie, the book has to be like so much better.
What's he doing? Why is he taking? Here's the toothbrush and the kettle and the tea and the towel. what is going on here?
It's like me trying to pack for a vacation.
Yeah, like I don't know why, but the thing is, like, because I saw the movie first, the newest movie, that's the one I saw, and like the voice of Alan Rickman is how I imagined the robot.
Perfect. Yeah.
And the thing is, like, whenever I read Martin's part, I just imagined Alan Rickman's voice when I was reading it, and for some reason, that just made it funnier from the things that he said.
The first, my first introduction to this was for the season 5 discussion, so I was never familiar with this until I was getting ready for the discussion.
I was actually tricked into it because back in the day of LimeWire, I illegally downloaded the movie 300 at like 3 in the morning, and when I started it, it was The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, and I was like, well, I just spent 2 hours waiting for this movie to download. I'm watching it, and then here it was great.
How was it? Wait, was it titled 300?
Yes, somebody literally it was
the file.
It was Douglas from the grave going, no, you're gonna watch my movie.
Okay, I mean,
It was beautiful, and I actually tried to download it again, like a different file, and it was The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy again. So I was not meant to watch 300.
you're not missing much.
Alrighty, how would we rate this? 0 to 5 stars, half stars per me, Krystal?
I mean, I sound so giving, but I'm gonna go with another 5-star. I love this book.
I'm gonna have to also go with the 5-star. The thing is, I don't usually get that out very often, but this book really held my attention, and it made me want to continue reading. Normally, I only read 2 chapters per book, but this made me want to go 3 or 4 per day.
Yeah, I know I'd have to give it a 5 too. I mean, it was a laugh a minute the whole time.
Josh?
I'm gonna improve on my score from before. I'm gonna give it a 4.5 though.
Tough crowd.
Yeah.
Because I was thinking to myself about, as far as I did say that the characters were very purposeful, but I also felt that they weren't necessarily the most multidimensional because we don't spend as much time with them. They more so play on the role as devices that rather than actual characters.
Do you think that if you continued on with the series,
Right.
maybe it was like meant for the character development to be a little bit more like throughout them, like maybe like
Maybe.
almost like a slow burn?
Perhaps, but it depends on the strength of the rest of the series.
I would tend to agree
Put
with
all the
Josh.
books on the things next season.
Right.
Because I would tend to agree with Josh because the story is plot driven and not character driven.
Mm-hmm. Yes,
Yes.
that's absolutely true.
That is the difference.
Because I mean, a prime example of a book that I gave 5 stars to, even though the characters weren't necessarily multidimensional, is Fahrenheit 451 by Ray Bradbury. I think that it was just, not only was it beyond brilliant, but I also felt that each of the characters played, you can compare them to different aspects of society, and it's just the messages about a dystopian world and where firemen are meant to burn books and censor society is just such a strong... It's so strong that it couldn't be anything but a 5. Even though when I read it in high school, I gave it a 4. But I mean, moving up half a star is advancement. But I still think that I still think that there are areas to the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy that, while the messages and the plot is magnificent, it's just the different factions that bring it down slight.
I kind of took it to where like it was almost like the author's way of saying to us that, because like in our minds, we always want to find the main character, right? We always want to like end the support, and I think that for Hitchhikers, it is his way of saying like, no, like the story is the main character.
Maybe.
These are all just supporting roles, and I think that that's the brilliance of it, because you're not. When I read it, I didn't want to know anything about the characters. They, like you said, they're just devices. They were just there.
Yeah.
And I think that was the beauty of it, because I was focusing so much on the story and where it was going that I didn't care about the characters, which is odd for me because I'm a character girl.
But yet, you have to really think about it before you get to that conclusion, because usually, the initial impression would be that Arthur Dent would be the main character. Just because we're following him at his house, he's the one that we probably could most relate to, and how he's an every person pulled away from his usual way of life and thrown into this what we would think is absurd, but in actuality is not much different from the world around us.
I relate to the towel. I'm just happy to be involved. I'm here, and please don't drop me.
Yeah, that's a great motif back there. You know what the towel is.
The towel is the main character. Wrap it up.
Everybody's security blanket. You're going on a journey, security blanket. You can have your world fall apart, get security.
Wrap it around what? Wrap it up around one of Zaphoid's two heads?
Yeah.
Well,
Perfect. That's a great place to go. This guy does. He
Maybe
seems
he's Linus.
Okay. If you are interested in reading The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, here is my copy. Ari assured me that this is not the original copy. I've actually looked over I revisited the discussion last night to prepare for this, but this is a nice mass market paperback, and it's definitely something that was valuable to revisit, and I might even revisit it again, because I think that there's so much that can be examined and explored, whether Douglas Adams likes it or not.
We'll never know.
We'll never know.
Alrighty then. Be sure to join us next time on another episode of Literary Gladiators, and I want to thank Krystal for taking part on our show for 2 episodes.
Lots of fun.
And if you live in the New Jersey area and you would like to visit the Bookshoverts chapters, they meet in Morristown and Hamilton. You read with some great readers.
Be friends with me. I need friends. Please.
And I would say that your Bookshoverts chapters, it's very... you would think that the initial impression is that it's the same group of people, so people might think, I want to be with people that are more, where it's more open-ended, but in actuality it becomes a very nice, closely knit group of people, and I really feel comfortable coming to the Bookshoverts meetings.
Well, like Olive Garden. When you're here, you're family.
And I always enjoy, and I think that anybody that joins the chapters is going to enjoy being around a very fun and fruitful group of fellow readers.
I like it. Do it.
Ready then.
Now.
For now, and as always, we encourage you to keep reading.